Hello everyone, this is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there. Hello everyone, this is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there.
My name is Richard Ferrer, and I can say I am cloud hired.
Said yes, come and join and get cloud hired. I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
Hey, Go Cloud Architect family. I'm cloud hired.
So, I'm cloud hired, guys.
So I'll just say I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired thanks to Go Cloud Architects.
It worked for me, and now I'm cloud hired.
Because of Google Architect program, I am cloud hired.
See! I am cloud hired. Thank you, Mike and the GlowCloud team.
All right, welcome everybody to another Q&A session with us here at Go Cloud Careers. My name is Chris Johnson. I am the Chief Operating Officer, joined by Michael Gibbs, our founder and CEO, and Alonzo Coleman, our Chief of Content and Experience. So we are here to answer any of your cloud career questions, whether it's about the cloud architect or the cloud engineer, whatever it might be. We are here for you. So don't be shy. Ask us your questions. Let's see here. So yeah, we sorry, I'm just surprised that nobody's asked us a question yet. Normally we got us a question by now. So let's get those questions in the chat box. If you want to know what a cloud architect is or what a cloud engineer is, let us know. If you want to know how to become a cloud architect or how to become a cloud engineer, let us know. If you want to know anything about the cloud architect job or cloud architect courses or cloud architect training, let us know. We are here to take your questions and help you reach your goal. So as you can see up here at the top, we've got our how to get your first cloud job webinar next Thursday. We just had one yesterday. We'll do one again next Thursday. And on that webinar, we will actually go over everything that you need to know to become the ultimate cloud architect. We'll talk about why we do what we do. We get asked that question quite a lot. Why do we do what we do? How did we get here? We talk about what hiring managers actually want, what cloud architects actually do, because there's a lot of confusion out there, and you'll actually see it in the job description. So we address how to deal with the job descriptions and HR. We talk about what kind of experience actually matters, and then of course we talk about what you actually need to know to become the ultimate cloud architect. And you can of course ask us any and all questions then as well. The next thing I want to make sure everybody is aware of is our free AWS exam guide. This is a updated version for the most recent versions of the associate and professional exam. Hundreds of people have contributed to this guide, hundreds of hours, hundreds of years worth of experience. Everybody that has contributed has gone into this. It was so good that somebody decided that they were going to try and sell it on Amazon, even though we're giving it away for free. So make sure you get our free copy. We've already addressed the bozo that decided he was going to copy word for word our content and our contributors' contents and sell it. We've already addressed that. So get your free copy from us, direct from the source. Just like coffee straight from the drip, that's the best way to get it. So get that. I want to make sure Collins also put the link for our new video course that we released last week. It's a 10-hour video course. So make sure you click that link and bookmark it, come back to it, break it up. It's broken into chapters so you can come back and watch. I know not everybody's like Mike and can lock yourself in a room and watch 10 hours worth of stuff over and over again. So we know you'll need to bookmark it. So bookmark that and get your copy of the exam guide as well. And then, of course, I want to make sure that everybody is following us on LinkedIn, both Mike and Go Cloud Careers on LinkedIn. Everything that we do, we put out on LinkedIn first. So make sure you're following us on both of those channels. And of course, if you like what we're doing here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button. They are there for a reason. They are there to be used. Don't be shy. So before we get into the questions, Alonzo or Mike, do you guys have anything to say?
Yeah, I want to welcome you all because I want you to have the best life and the best career. And I spent the better part of 2 decades advising people and watching people that I've trained get $250,000 jobs, $300,000 jobs and more. And the excitement from me when someone says, Mike, I got this job as there. And I want to train you all, but if you don't want to be our student or can't be our student, I'm okay with that. I just want you to know how to get to your goals. So you get to your goals fast. 70% of people when polled actually were given bad career advice. And that's why I'm here as often as I can. And believing my schedule is crazy. I mean, crazier than you can imagine, but I want to help you all live and build your best technology career. So ask us your questions. We'll cover critical things, today's things, the difference between getting certified versus getting hired. That's a key differentiator. The key of what managers really want, what gets you earning more. Ask us your questions and do not be shy. I don't bite. I'm like a soft golden retriever that's super gentle because that's what I do. I do what I love, and all of our team does what we love to help you build your elite career. So ask us your questions. I see a couple of questions that are there, and we're going to be there to answer them in any possible way we can. Before we begin, you have anything, Alonzo, or are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. I'm stoked. I'm excited. Everyone's here. I never hold back on what I want to say, and I am happy that everyone's here, excited about taking their first step in becoming cloud architects. Answer your questions. We're here for you. So let's go.
All right. So we've got TM here. He is a new subscriber. Glad to have you here, TM.
Glad to have you, TM.
Make sure to ask us your questions. We'll be here until about 11 o'clock today. So make sure you get those questions into us before we leave.
Do not hold back, okay? This is the first step towards getting you that ultimate cloud career job that will change your life, create generational wealth. There are so many benefits to it. Don't be afraid and be confident and seize your future.
All right, so they say, I was recently hired as a platform admin. What should I expect on my first day?
Well, TM, could you tell us what kind of platform admin? Is it a Microsoft platform admin? Is it a cloud thing? Is it a network thing? Because platform admin can be one of about 100 different things. But I'll speak generally right now. And then if you give me more specifics, I'll let you know. On your first day, second day, and third day, for the most part, here's what you're going to receive. Corporate indoctrination. You're going to be going through a tremendous amount of paperwork, filling out benefits forms, looking at the corporate intranet website. And so if it's AWS and admin, what you're going to be doing is just configuring things. So like an architect where they design, present, and sell, and an engineer really thinks about what's going on and how to tune and how to optimize, the admin just configures. So you could be like setting up virtual machines, for example, or you could be setting up user accounts, for example, those kind of things. You could be setting up storage buckets, and it doesn't matter whether it's AWS S3 or Azure Blob. It's all the same technology. I mean, a cloud is just a network and a data center that's virtualized. So at the admin level, you're just going to be configuring. An engineer will give you something. The architect will design it. The engineer will performance tune it. And then they'll say, here, set up these 1,000 user accounts. And that would be the kind of thing that you would do. So just configure. But for the first couple of days, you're going to basically be doing things. Now, the assumption is, generally speaking, when they hire you, they're worried that you don't know a lot, as a rule, especially with admin roles. So you'll probably follow somebody around for a week or two to make sure that you know what's going on. And they'll say, this is how we do it here. This is how I do it. But if somebody doesn't walk you around, go do it. Now, TM, in my first tech job, and here's what I did. I bought everybody lunch on the first day, second day, third day, fourth day, and fifth day. And I did it to build relationships. Because here's the thing. When you're new and you lack experience, you need to be able to reach out to people that have more experience than you. And if you buy everybody lunch, they're going to like you. And if they like you when you ask questions, they're going to be happy to help you versus thinking, why doesn't this person know something? So go out there and meet people. If you've got a special strength, share it with others. Have a good attitude. Somebody asks you to do something, never say it's not my job. Say exactly when you want it, when you need it. Now, if you don't know, tell the person, I don't know. Ask somebody to help you. You do not want to make mistakes. You make a mistake, and that does not go over well. So go in there, be warm, be welcoming, be friendly. Use your soft skills. And if you don't have them, make sure you get them. And go out there and communicate with others. And build relationships. And if you can, outwork your competition, especially in the first 90 days, and show that you can make an impact. Those first 90 days are critical in how the company views you. So I personally, my first tech job, which was a senior network engineer, I went out there and I got home and I read for 4 to 6 hours a day, every single day, until I was comfortable. And I was comfortable. In fact, I rose from senior engineer, which is my first tech job, to architect within 6 months. And you can do anything you want. So go in there, have a degree of confidence, ask questions when you need to know, be warm and friendly. And I recommend you buy lunch for a certain number of people in the beginning. Build those relationships. They'll help you a long way. Congratulations on the new role. I'm super excited for your new role. When someone tells me they're cloud hired, it's a celebration to me, whether they're our student or someone else's. So congratulations. Let's give them all a cloud hired.
Let's go.
Congratulations, Tim. All right. So Lady T says they finally caught alive. They are excited.
All right. Well, welcome, Lady T. Good morning to you.
Chris asks, what do you think about the CompTIA Cloud Plus certification in the context of starting a cloud computing career?
Well, Chris, a couple things. One is I'd like to know what cloud computing career you could have so I can tell you how to get there, because you can't just say cloud computing career. And here's the reason why. There's 1,000 different jobs that are all in cloud computing, and each one of them requires different training. Now, Chris, I will tell you, I have never, ever advised anyone to ever take a CompTIA certification ever. When they're on a resume, I often have to remove them. And here's the reason why. Employers look at them as kind of like intro to junior level something. And for example, when somebody has an A+, Net Plus, Cloud Plus, they're the kind of people that work at the Best Buy Geek Squad, for example, fixing your PC. So I strongly recommend against getting any CompTIA certification ever. Now, there are certain cloud certifications that may make sense for you if I know which role you want. And there's a training path that may make sense if I know which roles that you want. But I need to know what you want to do beforehand, because a cloud architect and a cloud engineer, it's the difference between a dolphin and a lion. They're so different. People don't realize that. Now, a cloud IAM architect or a cloud IAM engineer is a completely different job than a cloud engineer. A cloud database person is different than something else. So I need to know exactly what career, but I can advise you one thing. Don't waste your time or effort on a CompTIA certification. See, when it comes to your career or it comes to anything, there's what's called an opportunity cost of your time. If I spend my time doing X, I don't have that time to do Y. And if you really want to care which certifications matter, for the most part, you can see what CIO magazine looks at every year. And you'll almost never find any CompTIA certification there other than the Security Plus. Now, the reality is I took many people that paid $30,000 for a CompTIA Security Plus certification from people that, I don't know, overcharged them for nothing. And I had to completely retrain them because they weren't hireable. Now, the Security Plus is good if you want to work for U.S. government. For some reason, U.S. government likes that CompTIA Security Plus. But in my experience, in my estimation, the CompTIA certifications are the worst investment of your time ever. And I would strongly recommend against them. It's not that they're bad certifications per se. It's that employers don't desire them and they don't look for them and they don't give you a leg up. So if it's not going to help you, and I usually take them off of a resume, I don't want to see you waste your time there. For example, the average cloud architect, if I'm going to tell you, for example, earns $800 a day, $800 a day. And if you spend 2 months on a certification that's completely meaningless, you lost $32,000 of actual money. So I want you to train for your career. Tell me which career you want, Chris4492, and I want to help you get there. But I strongly advise not doing that.
Looks like, so Gabriel has a question. How will the recession slow down employment for a cloud engineer?
Gabriel, it's going to dramatically drop it to the point where we actually had a cloud engineering program and a really top-end program. And we're still working with our students that are in that program, and we're giving them so many additional skills to advance in their career. But we didn't want to create additional competition for our students. And I also didn't want to take any students into an engineering program if I didn't know if they'd get hired for the next year or 2 or 3. So cloud architects like me get hired in a recession. In fact, we had 3 people that got hired just last week. And here's the issue, and why cloud engineers can get laid off or will be outsourced. So it doesn't matter where you do engineering work, but it does matter where you do architect work. As a cloud architect, I've got to go visit my customers, discuss things with my customers, convince them to buy our product, ask them questions about their business. And because of that, it's hard to replace that person or outsource them. But here's the other thing, Gabriel. In a recession, companies struggle to sell. So the most critical people for their team are people that are involved in sales. A cloud architect designs, presents, and sells. A technical account manager sells. An account executive sells. And in a recession, they're the most critical people on your team. But a cloud engineer is a cost. Now, I want you to think about this, Gabriel. If you want to live and buy a basic 2-bedroom house in San Francisco with an average price of $1.49 million, you have to earn $416,000 just to have a house, and you're still dirt poor in California. I'm going to make that kind of clear. Now, in New York, with the average rent of $5,000 a month, you need to earn roughly $216,000 a year just to break even. Now, think about this. $100,000 in US is equivalent to $28,000 in India when you do income parity and you compare them. So it doesn't matter if my cloud engineer is in Cameroon, Cambodia, California, Chicago, or the Cayman Islands. And yes, I like the word C, and I like the Cookie Monster, and I tend to alliterate. But the point is, if you're me and I've got to pay a cloud engineer $200,000 or a CEO $200,000 in California for the cloud engineer, or $300,000, or $50,000 in India to get the same level of quality, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to lay off our expensive people in California. I'm going to hire equally competent people in Cameroon or Bangalore, India. So cloud engineers in a recession, horrible, horrible, horrible. Cloud architects in a recession, we're still getting hired. And that's the key. So it's still possible to get a cloud engineer job in a recession, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't spend my time there. I'd focus my time on something that's the cloud architect, especially now. And the reality is, as a cloud architect, you can earn 2 to 3 times more than a cloud engineer anyway. Now, if you want to code and configure all day, I'm not saying you shouldn't become an engineer. I'm just saying realize that there's that. Now, Gabriel, I also want you to realize something else. As a cloud architect, I got to go meet with the CEO. I got to go meet with the CFO and really ask them about their business. And then from there, I got to go build a team of 40 or 50 really smart people to put the design together. I got to document the design, present the design, and sell it back, build a business case. That's what we do as architects. That is an irreplaceable job. Now, a lot of what engineers do is configuring, and I can just have a chat GPT thing basically do half of the engineer's job. I don't need engineers at some point in the future. So I really would like you to be careful and think about what you want to do in your future. I love engineering, but I think the future of engineering is going down, 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 down. And it's a global workforce. And businesses use something called arbitrage. They hire the best people they can at the lowest cost possible. So as a cloud engineer, I'd be looking overseas as an executive if I was in a big company. And many of them do that for that reason. In fact, if you were to contract with one of the big 4 consulting firms, you're going to see an architect show up in America, England, or Canada, or something like that. And half of the work is going to be done by somebody overseas. So I'm not a big believer in the future of cloud engineering right now. Now, if you become a cloud engineer that learns how to design, present, and sell, and develops executive communication skills and leadership skills and emotional intelligence and business acumen, now you're in a totally different career. And now you're working in those distinguished engineer careers that help sell, just like an architect. And then poof, you're a unicorn that's hard to get laid off.
All right. So, Mike, you don't get to talk this time. So, Lady T, I'm new here, and I'm doing an associate's starting in January. I've been watching your videos, and you guys say it's not needed. Would it be useful at all for a cloud architect? Alonzo, you want to start off?
Well, yes, I think it would be useful. However, what's more useful than a certification is competency, Lady T. When it comes to certifications, it shows that A, you know how to effectively take an exam, B, specifically know how to take an exam with a certain cloud provider. But unfortunately, it does not teach you the overall architecture of the agnostic cloud. Now, we can impact this in a lot of different ways because the associates, no matter whether it's AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, it only teaches you that specific cloud service provider and the services that they offer. They do not teach you the entire cloud. So I would recommend that you learn the differences between block storage, object storage, BGP, understanding how the network works, subnetting, supernetting, and learning how it all comes together, because without networking, which they don't specifically teach in detail in as they should, or I would like for them to, you need to learn that, because no networking, none of the architecture works. So I would highly recommend that you understand the agnostic cloud, and then it will make it far easier for you to understand any cloud service provider exam, and it'll be easier for you to move over from there. What about you, Mike?
I agree with everything Alonzo says, and I love education. I'm never going to say don't get it, ever. And over time, adding more education is good. The best education for an architect is actually an MBA. So yes, go do this education, and we could train you at the same time if you desire. And we've done this for a lot. I worked with somebody many years ago. He was one of my first people that was in college that I worked with about 20 years ago. By the time he graduated college, he had a $100,000 job. 2 years later, he was ordering $250,000. And it's funny because he actually graduated during a pretty major recession, and he studied some kind of computer technology. What he learned in school was absolutely nothing, but the degree actually helped him long term. So yeah, I'm not going to say don't do the associates. Do the associates. Focus on your career and kind of use that as bonus stuff to look good on your resume. I have 2 master's degrees, and I'll tell you, some of what I learned was valuable, and 90% of what I learned was not. But the good news was I was able to afford, through company training, about $100,000 of leadership courses and other business acumen courses to teach the things that weren't part of an MBA in my leadership development, and that really made the difference. But the MBA on a piece of paper on my resume sure helped open doors. So do the associate's degree and get the right training to be a cloud architect. And if you'd like, we'd love to train you.
Follow up. Can I learn all of that with your course?
Of course you can, Lady T. And I kind of saw that in the chat box, which is why I answered it the way I did.
And to just to underscore what Mike has put there are a lot of different testimonials in our page. If one of the team could add that on there to underscore the success, the happiness, the accomplishments, and just the confidence that people have, not only in our course, but in the overall results of them securing an awesome, lucrative cloud career.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's exciting. In the last year, most of our students that actually did all the program requirements earned jobs between $120,000 and $287,000 a year, with an average new person with no background, I'd say about 150 to 160. So for me, that was exciting. But when I get a cloud hired at the end of the day, which happens almost every day, and Chris and I talk about it, that's party time.
All right. So Gabriel asked, does our course go over cloud engineer role or just cloud architecture?
Gabriel, they're 2 different careers. And if you try to master both, you will fail at both. And here's the reason why. You can't spread your effort amongst 2 different things. You can't be a marathon runner and an Olympic weightlifter at the same time. They're different goals. We speak to executives every single day that ask us for people that say, please don't send me a cloud engineer, I need an architect. If you train to be an architect, you'll be a great architect. If you train to be an engineer, guess what's going to happen 5 years later? You're going to need to be completely have to be retrained to be an architect. Our training is comprehensive. An architect gets paid as much, if not more, than a doctor or a lawyer. And there's a reason for it. If you tried to do both, it's not possible. You'd have to live a 500-year lifetime to be a good engineer and architect at the same time. And also, the architect's focus is on digital transformation. The engineer's focus is on configuring. So Gabriel, I want to make it real clear to you. Let's say I taught you engineering, and engineering is basically like how to build a house, and I taught you how to use a saw, a screwdriver, a hammer, and then I asked you to design a hotel. That's what an architect does. It wouldn't prepare you for it. So you have to pick a career. I want to be an architect. I want to be an engineer. And when we do our training, we train you exactly in depth on one career. We know that if we trained you on both, you wouldn't be good at either. We are experts, we are specialists, and that's why our students' salaries are so sky high, because we create master architects, not jack of all trades and masters of none. So no, we only teach architecture and architecture training program. You got to pick a career, and they're too different to be able to do both.
All right. So TM, who recently said that he was starting a new job, says, I watched all your videos for interviews to land the job, and I will take all your advice to heart. Thank you so much.
TM, I'm so happy for you. That's why I put these out there. Lonzo, how do you feel about that?
Oh man, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled, TM. I think one of the best joys that I have is not, working with these gentlemen, but just having these type of conversations with everyone. Everyone is enlightened. Everyone understands our commitment to the cause, our commitment to your journey. So keep learning, keep joining us, keep looking at the videos. We're just glad to have you. I'm excited.
All right. So our next question is from Australia. Missed the webinar yesterday. Literally slept off 20 minutes to the time. Is there a recording for yesterday's session? If you registered for the webinar, you'll be receiving a link by email today to the recording. So be on the lookout for that. Courtney asks, does this cover what a Salesforce architect does, or will we be able to take Salesforce architect jobs?
No. We create cloud architects. Salesforce is something different. Now Salesforce is a customer relationships management platform. If I train you to be an airplane pilot, you will not be an effective doctor. It's a completely different thing. We train master architects, best in the world architects, and that's why employers come to us. That's why our people work at AWS, Azure, Microsoft, Google, JP Morgan Chase, Accenture, Deloitte, Capgemini, Apple, and those sorts of places. If I tried to spread you guys too thin, my students wouldn't be hired everywhere. They'd be like the 10x AWS certified person that's completely unhireable. We create master architects and we focus on mastery.
I'm actually having to read on Salesforce's website what a Salesforce architect does.
I wouldn't be trying to build
the basic. So this is a solution architect, like at Sherwin-Williams.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's all it is.
They design solutions using Salesforce tools, which aren't necessarily cloud tools. These are CRM tools.
Yep.
So I
But
guess
they
you
can
could,
help you
you could take all of our business training and probably apply it to that, but it's not
apples to apples.
Yeah.
No, that's helping a business basically maintain email addresses and customer names and phone numbers. We're talking about digital transformation here. It's a completely different career.
Yeah. All right. So Gabriel says, I'm a network admin trying to transition to the cloud. How long do you think I can land a job? I think it depends on your level of knowledge and what you've been working with in your role as a network admin. Without that information, I'm not sure. Mike can answer that one a little bit deeper.
Well, Gabriel, I don't know what cloud job you're looking for. If you're looking for a cloud admin job, for the most part, you don't need any training. It's just different commands. If you're looking for a cloud engineer job and you are a network engineer, not a network admin, it'd be pretty easy. But to go from an admin to an engineer requires a lot of professional development training. Now, if you want to go from an admin to an architect, you're going to need a lot of training because you're going to need the sales, the leadership, the CXO relevancy, the executive presence, communication training. But you're also going to need a complete rebranding because admins are configurers and architects never ever touch the technology. They design, present, and sell it. So when we deal with admins, and I love working with admins because I have a lot of good hands-on experience, though it's different experience. Love working with admins. We have to really do a lot of rebranding on their resume, lots of changes to their LinkedIn profile to get people to see them as an architect. So it depends on what you do and exactly what you want to be. Tell us what your goals are, and we can tell you how to get there, but we need to know your goals.
Okay, I like this question. All right, Hakeem says, hey, Go Cloud team, how does one decide if an offer is fair salary-wise? I don't want to leave anything on the table. Thanks.
Hey, yeah, right.
So,
I know that's right, Hakeem.
so first of all, this is part of our negotiation training that we include in our program. I'm going to hit it from the high level. Fair is commensurate with what you bring to the table compared to what other people that you're competing against can bring to the table. So me trying to compete against Mike, I am not going to command Mike's salary. So I cannot attempt to try to get Mike's salary. So that's something that we need to keep in mind when we're talking about fair. There's just, and Mike would never take anything that would be offered to me if we're talking about a networking or a cloud or an enterprise role, just because Mike has wealth of knowledge and experience that he brings to the table for that role. So Mike would definitely think my offer would not be fair if it was offered to him. And nobody would offer me Mike's offer based on what I bring to the table. Now, there's plenty of tools out there that you can utilize to see what the going standard is. Glassdoor is probably one of the better ones. They get update. They stay relatively up to date. But that is a good question to ask. And I think doing your research, just like you would do your research on the company, you would do your research on the person that you're interviewing with, you would do your research on the people that you might be interviewing with. You're also going to do the research on what should be paid for this role.
I would love to just share this with you, Hakeem. When it, like Chris had says, phenomenal, rock solid advice, but also understand, know your worth. It's not what you deserve, it's what you negotiate. So if you are going through, you're competent, you're secure, you know you can do the job. Not only can you do the job, but you are so good that you can do the job and do a skip level onto another position, and you know how to communicate that competency. Yeah, go for it. And we also teach those negotiation skills here in our coursework. So I would definitely do your due diligence, do your research, and ensure that everything that you want is swept off that table and into your pocket.
And I'm going to add to that. So there's a couple things, Hakeem. What determines your salary is a few things: your competency and all the other stuff. If I told you that the right interview could have $100,000 impact on your salary based upon how well you actually do that interview, will determine how well somebody wants you. Now, I've interviewed for basically 5 companies, got hired by all 5 companies, and in multiple cases, I've done a few interviews where they said, Mike, would you like this better position? For example, I had interviewed for a healthcare architect position about 2 years ago, right before I started this company. And they asked me if I wanted to be a distinguished architect. And it was like, wow, okay. And I didn't even know, and then started the company and never looked back and had a thing. But I will caution you to do against one thing. I saw somebody post on LinkedIn and said, always ask for more money. That is the most dangerous advice I ever heard in my entire life. You need to do a few things. One, as Chris said, you need to know what the range of salary is. 2, you need to know you. How well did you communicate, present, sell yourself on the interview? That's the stuff that can make a difference. The next part of what you're trying to do, you need to figure out is before you even think about asking for more money, you must have what Harvard calls a BATNA, which is a best alternative to a negotiated agreement. And here's what I'm saying. If I'm going to go interview for a job and I'm going to negotiate, I'm going to have $200,000-$300,000 jobs and negotiate them against each other. And or 400 or 500. And the reason I'm going to do this is I'm not going to negotiate a job that I can't afford to lose. So if it's my first job and I'm unemployed, I'm going to make sure if I need a job, I'm not going to try to negotiate something. I'd rather get the job and get a better job a year later. So it depends on your circumstances. Can you afford to live without the job before you just try to ask for more money? Do you know your communication skills, leadership skills, sales skills, executive presence, those kind of things? Critical information. Do you know what zip code you're living in? Because that has something to do with what's going on in your information. And then figure out where average is, and are you above average, below average, or those kind of things. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. We teach a lot more of this in all of our programs, and that's about as deep as I can go to on YouTube. But you got to make sure that you're there.
All right. So Salah says, do you need to have hands-on knowledge in DevOps, Docker, Kubernetes, CI/CD to be a competent cloud architect? What level of hands-on knowledge do you think is essential for an architect to have?
Oh, Salah, I think I need to explain to you what is an architect. An architect designs, presents, and sells. Most of the architects I know that are working have no concept of DevOps. They have no concept of coding. And it's funny because a good buddy of mine's an architect. And I said, hey, could you help teach in our engineering program? And he says, Mike, I tell jokes. I buy lunches, dinners, and drinks. So Salah, we don't code. We don't configure as architects. DevOps is somebody else's career. What you're really saying to me is I want to be an airplane pilot. How much do I need to know about being a lawyer? It's completely different. As an architect, you need to know the networking and data center technologies because they're the same technology on the cloud. Virtual machine on the data center, virtual machine on the cloud. Database in the data center, database in the cloud. Router on the data center, router on the cloud. I mean, it's the same kind of things that we're actually talking about. BGP in the data center, BGP on the cloud. Load balancer in the data center, load balancer in the cloud. And if you don't know the stuff in the network in the data center, you won't know how to migrate it to the cloud. Now, Salah, because you're asking me all engineering questions, I'm going to tell you right now, the architect designs, presents, and sells. We never, ever touch the technology. That's what engineers do. In fact, I'm going to actually read to you what the customers actually say they want. And the reason I'm going to read this to you is I've been an architect now for basically 25 years. Yes, 25 years. It makes me feel really old when I say that. But what happened is there were some ridiculous job descriptions that actually came out there for a little while that had absolutely zero to actually do with architecture. So Chris, if you can actually, if you can pop the link to the CIO magazine article for the audience that's here. But what happened is there were these job descriptions that included DevOps and things that architects don't do. And Gartner started asking chief information officers who run the entire tech departments of all these companies. And they said, what do you want in a cloud architect? And they said, someone that can lead the cultural change for cloud adoption, someone that can develop and coordinate an architecture, someone that can develop a cloud strategy and coordinate the adoption process. And then they said, what else do you want them to do each day? And they said, help find talent with the necessary skills, assess applications, software, and hardware, create a cloud broker team, establish best practices for the cloud across the company, select cloud providers and vet third-party services, oversee governance and mitigate risk, working closely with the IT security people to monitor privacy and develop incident response procedures, manage budgets and estimate costs, and operate at scale. So that's the key. Architects are architects. They design, present, and sell. So not our job. You do need to know what DevOps is. Like you do need to know what is a blue-green deployment, for example, and why DevOps exists. Now, you do need to understand containers and container orchestration because that's compute, but you're not going to be configuring it. You're not going to be playing with kubectl or any of those other things. That's a job for a DevOps engineer. Difference between a lion and a bear, two different species.
All right, so I like this next one. So Mike, my best friend and I will be joining your course in January. I want to book a flight to meet the team. Just let me know when and where. I am there. All right. So you need to get you a travel agent and book Tampa, Dallas, or no, yeah, Tampa, Dallas, Houston, Miami, Sao Paulo,
Colombia?
Lagos, Bamindi, Cape Town, or Johannesburg. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not sure where. But I think and Phoenix, and is it Medellin in Colombia?
Yes.
Yeah,
Medellin, Colombia.
yeah. So yeah, get your travel agent. You got a whole list to go to.
That would be an awesome tour.
It'll be a great trip. And, we do what we do for a reason. I look for the best and brightest. There's 7 billion people in the world. And guess what? The U.S. only has 320 million or so. So when it comes to building the team of experts that we build, we look everywhere. And if it's Tyrone in South Africa or Eddie in Bamenda, Cameroon, I don't care. We have the best.
Oh, wait, and we got Memphis, Tennessee, and then we got somewhere in Kentucky, and then we got somewhere in another one in Houston and Utah, I think.
You're right. We do have Utah.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Wait. We got even more people.
You'll have Hamza, you will have a great tour.
You'll
man.
have the best tour ever.
You might not get any studying done. You might be busy eating food everywhere you go, but
then it'll be great food. So, but no, sounds really exciting. Our team has over 200 years of professional experience. I'll actually, for the fun of it, I'll show you the About Us page so you can see where our instructors are from. But we want to have the team to give people the best experiences. I like my experience, but the reality is I want the best, and it takes a team and a village to really give our students the best of everything. We even have people from Vietnam.
Follow-up question: the fastest course completion time by any of the students?
Richard Afukar was the fastest we had. He completed our program within 3 weeks and was hired as a technical account manager by AWS. Delroy Batt, inside of our program, within 3 weeks got a security job, and he held that job for about a year before he got his cloud security architect job. But, realistically speaking, for most people, it's about 8 to 12 months. I don't think people realize the exact knowledge that it takes to actually be an architect. When someone's going to pay you $200,000 to $500,000 a year, they demand you to know something. Look, our students graduate with the same salaries that a physician would get or a lawyer would get with $300,000 of loans. So, and our students basically do it for almost nothing because our goal is to help people at the lowest cost possible. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Fastest is going to be upon you. Are you like me where you can read 1,000 pages a day and remember it all? Say you're going to get there sooner. Or, can you watch a video and remember it with a photographic memory like my wife? Or do you need to watch a video and participate in 50 or 100 classes? Here's the real thing, Cole. We're not like some scummy program that brings you in for 16 weeks and says goodbye and hope you get hired in the end. We let you stay in the program for up to a year until you're hired, because I want to know that everybody that does the work in our program gets hired and has the opportunity to get hired, not after the program. That's ridiculous. In our program, graduation for us is basically cloud hired. Now, beyond a year, there's still ways that we can still work with you in our program until you're hired. All we care about is you get hired. You, Chris, Alonzo, you got some thoughts there?
It goes back to competency, making sure that, because this is knowledge that you have to be solid on. This is something that we're going to vet you on in regards to understanding your competency. So I think I've noticed that there's a trend, because a lot of service providers out here, they want to provide this microwavable, quick and eat certification. You can get hired now in 16 minutes type of culture. However, for this type of job where they're willing to pay you a high six-figure, $250,000 salary, they want to make sure you're rock solid. A lot of people look at it from, this is what I'm getting, but you need to look at it from the fact of what is the company investing in by choosing you? Are you rock solid? Can you hang with the best of them? Can you provide the innovation that they're looking for? Can you be a return on investment with the money that they're paying you? This is what we teach here. We want to make sure that you have what you need so that you can give the companies what they want. So ensure that you go through the competency, understand the presentation skills, the CXO relevancy, the business skills, soft skills, emotional intelligence, the ability to pivot and move, go through problem solving processes. You're going to be in a great space.
All right. So the next question is from Courtney, and I'll take this one because we just talked about it kind of. Once a student completes the program, what lower level jobs do you recommend until the student is competent, since this is his first rodeo in technology? If you don't have to, we don't recommend taking any lower level or entry level jobs because there are no lower level or entry level architect jobs. Architect jobs should be your first job if you want to be an architect. We have countless people that have taken a cloud architect job or solution architect job as their first job. So we don't recommend taking any quote unquote lower level or entry level jobs. Now, obviously, if you're in a position that you need to work, then perfectly fine to take a you need to take a job. We get it. But make sure that you don't take the job with the expectation that will help brand you and prepare you for it. Maybe if you take a security engineer job and you're wanting to become a security architect, yes, there can be some connections there, but not necessarily the engineer part, just the security part, the concepts part, so we understand that there's if you're taking the job for the need to take the job and to sustain your family and yourself and your livelihood, that's understandable, but that's different than taking a job because it's your first rodeo. That no, if you're going for a job because you're ready to take the job, then you should go for a cloud architect job. And it goes back to the confidence in your competency. And so you have to be confident in the knowledge and the competency that you have, or else it won't come across in your job, let alone in your interview. So,
and I'm just to add to that to a touch. A doctor that goes to medical school doesn't work for a little while as a nurse and think that's going to make him a doctor. An airplane pilot doesn't work as a flight attendant after flight school. They become a pilot. That's why we spend over 500 hours training our people. They come out confident, competent, and get recruited aggressively while they're in the program. We're not some silly certification program that tries to cram everything in 20 hours and doesn't cover the material. We are professionals. Our training is extraordinary, and our people are confident and capable and get hired every day. If you were to try to get a lower level job, after that, you'd have to fight like you can't even believe to try and become an architect later. You anchored yourself in a low salary and you convinced the world you're not an architect, and you're going to need to be retrained for something else. Because if somebody's a flight attendant for 10 years, even though they're a pilot, nobody's going to consider them a pilot. They're going to consider them a flight attendant. So our students' first jobs are architect jobs.
All right. So next questions. Mike, let's see if you can get this one in 30 seconds. What are the absolute basic concepts that one needs to know when transitioning from non-tech to cloud?
Well, Baba, I don't know which cloud job you want. And I can't answer that because a cloud architect needs to know something different than a cloud engineer, who needs to know something different than a DevOps engineer, who needs to know something than a database person versus a developer. You tell me the career you want, and then I can tell you.
Yeah, so I'm going to take this from a different approach. The absolute basic concepts that you need is know exactly what you want to do. Find someone that has the role that you want, that has been in that role in a successful capacity, and listen to what they have to say.
I agree with
Make
that.
sure you get accurate information about the role that you desire. That's the absolute basic for any transition. How does cloud admin differ from architect and DevOps?
Very simple. TM, admin, configure all day. Architect, design, present, and sell all day. DevOps, code all day, and then automate software releases. They're completely different. There's no relationship between any of them.
B. Spence, what separates a cloud architecture from being an IT manager role?
Okay, they're entirely different. Now, here's the thing: as an architect, and you're generally paid more as an architect than you would be as an IT manager, maybe double or triple, but not always. As the architect, you got to go find your customer, figure out what they need, what their business problems are, and then go solve them. Now, of course, you're going to have to manage. You're going to have to create a team and manage a team of people that don't work for you. That's the key. Manage people that don't work for you. So it's kind of like herding cats. You're going to have to convince the smartest people in the world that you can find to work for you for a period of time. You're going to have to lead the design of something, present it back, and sell it. Now, that's different than a manager. I mean, there is management in that role, but here's what a manager does. Let's say I'm a senior manager of architects or a director of architects. I have 10 architects on my team, and I hire and fire them. And when an architect does a good job, I reward them. When an architect does a bad job, I fire them or discipline them or put them in a program of performance. So one is what's called people management, and one is really about leadership. So completely different. Now, I will tell you, really great cloud architects, because of all the leadership and management skills they need, they're typically a director level position, and they can easily move into VP roles or CIO roles and CTO roles or these chief architect roles. And some of these things can pay $800,000 or more. But the point is manager, manage people. Architects, design, present, and sell, build teams on demand. And B. Spence, I'm going to give you a secret. Almost any job that pays $150,000 a year or more has leadership in it. But no, manager and architect are different.
All right, so I think I've got one question left. So you teach exactly the things to become a competent architect. However, since I'm based out in India, here the architect interviews go into configuration part. How to deal with that situation?
Well, I can tell you we have lots of people in interviews getting hired in India without configuring. Now, the key is, how did you present yourself and how did you present your resume? If you present yourself like a techie, they're going to be giving you coding and configuration tests. If you present yourself as a real architect, they're not going to be giving you coding and configuration tests. So it's what's on your resume. For example, I had a student, Arun. Loved the guy. He was my student. And he took all these certifications and put all this techie stuff on his resume. It was super techie on his resume. And I said, Mike, I keep going on these interviews. And guess what's going on? They keep asking me DevOps and coding things. And I said, Arun, may I see your resume, please? And he shows it to me. I said, Arun, can I dedicate this 2-hour class and we're going to redo your resume? He says, sure, Mike, I can't wait to get hired. I removed every piece of coding, every piece of DevOps. I removed 3 or 4 certifications from his resume. And he had 3 job offers within a month. And he was rock solid. He was a phenomenal architect. I have total full respect for him. But when he did that, he was hired. Last time I spoke with him, it was on my birthday, and he was doing dinner meetings and dinners and drinks, which is a real architect's job, entertaining clients. But no, I've worked with people in India for the last 20 years. I've opened an office with my team in Bangalore a long time ago. Real architects are real architects everywhere. It's how you position yourself, how you position your resume, and how you communicate.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Let me address TM's question real quick. He just popped it up. TM just said, I'm thinking of turning down this job as you haven't signed anything yet. And I want to address that.
Okay.
So TM said, I'm thinking of turning down this job. I haven't signed anything yet to take your course and find a solutions architect after. TM, what I would say is, I would prefer you take the job, earn a living, and then take our course at the same time. Call it your professional development. Let's say a year from now, you're working as a solution architect, but you're still earning a living in the meantime. That way you're financially secure. You can take good care of your family. And here's the thing, when you're not worried about money, your ability to study is going to be better.
Yeah.
When you're worried about your survival, life is very hard. So I encourage you to take that job. You said our practice interviews helped you? Good. Go out there and meet some people and still take our course. I would be more honored than you can imagine to train you. And when you got how Cloud hires a solution architect, I'll be partying with you. But I want to make sure that you still have an earning in the meantime. And heck, you'll be more employable anyway because I know how to brand admin and rebrand you for an architect. So I'd rather you take the job and then earn a living and then there, because I care about all of your financial success. So while I'd be thrilled for you to join us now, I'm still thrilled for you to join us now, but I don't want you to turn down something that could secure for your finances while you're being trained for better things.
Agreed. Completely agree with that.
Best of both worlds.
Yep.
Best of both. So
with that in mind, just want to say, I think the majority of our students are working full time. So it's not something that can't be done. So yeah, I agree with Mike. So, all right, we are going to wrap this up. Thank you all for joining us. I think there's a little bit of a lag on my end. I apologize about that. But if there is, we'll get through this pretty quickly. I just want to remind everybody about our webinar next week. You can find the link in the description and in the chat box. It's a free webinar. You'll learn exactly what you need to become a cloud architect and how you can do it by yourself or how you can do it with us. Also want to make sure that everybody remembers to get their copy of the free exam guide. Our AWS Certified Solution Architect exam guide prepares you for both the associate and professional exams. So make sure you get your copy there. So again, thank you all for joining us. We look forward to seeing you all next week. Have a great day.
Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. Go after your dreams and go get them.
Yeah.